Hey, welcome back. Steve Basic Architect. Yeah. So, talked a little bit about water management last time. Now we're going to talk a little bit more aesthetics, trim, keeping it simple. Remember, if you don't, this is our 1852 historic remodel. Yeah. So, you know, and it is in New England. Not only is it in New England, it is in a historic district of a very quaint New England town. So there's a lot of New Englandness in this town. They certainly care about their New Englandness, and the homeowners, they bought this house because they wanted that. And they wanted to have that New England feel to it. So, you know, in doing that, you know, you have to be conscious of the decisions you're making. So, you know, a couple real simple things here that you'll notice that I think certainly help out. And, you know, the thing about New England-ness, if you will, is, you know, there's probably, you know, some places where, yeah, maybe we don't have to be, you know, an exact replica of the 1952's house, but we want to have some historical reference and reverence towards, you know, the days gone by, but it also has to be a house for now. Right? And for people to live in it now, the way we live now, you know, we're not going out to get the horse and hooking it up to a buggy to go on a trip somewhere. We actually have seen and probably been on an airplane. All of these things that didn't exist back then. But anyways, so let's take a look at it, right? Start, New Englandness, interior doors. Real simple. They're not 8-footers, they're 6'8". You know, 4-panel doors. Now, one of the things I would have liked to have done, but we didn't do it here. I like when these panels are smaller. So they're down here, and these panels come down much lower. It's a little more authentic 4-panel. This one here has that meeting rail on the doorknob, but regardless, it works. The 4-panel door, you know, some concessions there, but this one also has a little ogee there, so it's not a pure like shaker style door. There's actually a little trim there because, you know, in a lot of these rooms we had crown molding and such. As far as the windows, notice we still kept our dormer there, but our window trim is pretty simple. Bunch of square stock, but we did bump this up, which I really like. That's a 5/4 sill there, and this is a 1x on the jamb, and the head is 5/4. So it's hard to see, but there is a little reveal there. The windows we used on here was a domestic manufacturer. They're actually Marvin, they're double glazed. And, you know, one of the reasons we went with them is they actually make a 5/8 inch mutton bar. And come to find out after this that, you know, Sierra Pacific does too. And I think Anderson does now. But, you know, we had to, one of the things with the Historic Commission was they really wanted to see us retain that 5/8 inch mutton dimension on these. So that was, you know, some of the general interior trim. Nothing crazy off the top, just very, very simple. But, you know, it's that very simple, you know, the taller baseboard, and we'll get into that because I actually have a couple photos of exactly what we did there. But it's that simple nature, I think, that lends itself to the elegance of this New Englandness of an 170-year-old home, right? So you can see here, this corner of the door, and you can notice the door here, like I talked about, you know, it has a little OG up there that comes down to that bottom rail, and it's a 4-panel door system there. But look at what we did here, right? So it's a multi-piece base where we have a plinth block. Notice the plinth block actually has, on all 3 sides, has a little bit of shelf there. Also has a little bit there, so it's proud. And then it sits. That just gives a really nice look for that baseboard to have something to die into. And notice up here, we have our base. I think on this one we did something like, up here was a 1x6, and on the first floor it was a 1x8. And then we have the base cap here, which is probably closing in, I'm going to say roughly 2 inches. It's probably like 1 inch and 13/16 if we wanted to get technical. And it goes on top. One of the things I absolutely hate, and I see a bunch of builders do it, and I don't understand the historic nature of it enough to say, yeah, that is a historic or not. Maybe if you know the answer, you can share some of that information with us. But a lot of people will put a quarter round here, right, and run it. It's called shoe molding. And I absolutely despise shoe molding. A lot of times they put it in there because that way there the hardwood floor can float underneath it. But the problem with the shoe molding is when it comes here, it ends up being proud. And what they do is they do a quick miter on it. And oh my God, it looks god awful. It looks like someone came in and hacked that and hacked it from a sense of decision making. So I don't. I like the nice, clean, crisp. I want that 1x to die in. I want to see a little bit of that plinth block. Notice the plinth block. I mean, we're probably talking, you know, maybe a 1/2 inch proud of the top of the base there. So it's just enough to have that whole baseboard system die conveniently into the side of that 5/4, nice and neatly. And then of course at the top of the door here, you'll see we just have our standard 1x, but it comes up, and like the plinth block below, there is a little ridge that's happening there, right? So this is a piece of 5/4, which equals 1 inch in thickness actual. This is a 1x, which is 3/4. So this is that 1/4 inch, right? And they make a whole bunch of different tops on this. We wanted to be a little more sleek and extremely simple, but also a little smaller in scale. We could have played around with, you know, what size that is, but we just used, this is a 3/4 by 3/4. I want to say it's a Scotia molding, right? Which means blown up, it just looks like that, right? And goes off. All right, this being the cross section of it. And of course that traces around and you get a little reveal here. There, just enough so that when you're looking up, you see a reveal, and those reveals really help each of the moldings so that they're in concert with the assembly and they look very, very good all together. But having those little reveals allow them to kind of say, yeah, I'm not the head casing, I'm that little cap on the head casing, right? I'm not the jam casing, I'm the head casing. So I have that little bit of a reveal. So it gives a little area to distinguish them apart, but yet the whole thing is working very, very nicely in concert. with itself. And, you know, a couple other things of note here. Notice, like, the colors here. These are just some really simple pastel-y type colors, greens and yellows and stuff that we use. Real earth tones, but really on the pastel nature. So it's, when you walk through the home, there's this nice light and airy feel about everything. Nothing's totally overwhelming there. The other thing too that, you know, I like to pay attention to, notice here, this isn't cut and cropped because of the wall. If I know that my system here is, say, 5 inches from door to, say, edge of scotia, then I make sure that the door is, you know, 6 to 7 inches out. My point is, I want the door to be complete. Right? I hate when you go into a room and they jam that door into the corner and then everything's just hacked and pushed up against the corner. Man, that look awful. Pull the door out a little. Make sure that you understand your trim. Go back, check all of your door locations. Make sure you have some space there for that to happen. All right. The owner's suite. I think this came out quite nice. She was planning on getting a cushion made for this that obviously wasn't made for the photo time, but you can see nice beautiful view out to the backyard. We got some storage here in these drawers. There, these all pull out and they're active. So we get some extra storage. We get a nice little bookcase flanking the windows there. And then, you know, this is a pretty standard feature. You go in a lot of older New England homes, especially because, you know, our New England homes, we love to build these capes, right? And then you go upstairs and the room is like that. So you truncate that roof, well, you end up with these walls that are, you know, 40, 44 inches high. And so you build in these dressers in there. So, you know, that's a pretty common New England thing, if you will, to fill in those low sloping roofs. And if you remember what's happening out here, you can see this roof comes all the way down here and then it steps up to the dormer. So it's kind of dead space behind this wall anyway. It's not like you could go back there and finish it. So by putting in the window seat in that cheek wall, then that gives us the opportunity now to put this dresser in back there. Now notice what we did here also. Right, this is proud. We have plinth block here, we have plinth block there, we have plinth block here, right? So that baseboard is always dying in to the same detail. Now, we didn't do a head casing here. We just did this as a 1x4 wrap. Notice all the doors are flush drawers, right, into the system. And then we have our little 1x and then our top bench top going on the top. But carrying on our detail from all of our doors there, I think really adds, and you can see there's the plinth block here also. And then we have an opposing set of drawers. So this whole system is symmetrical on that line, centered on that exterior window seat wall. But anyways, nice little way to finish off the end of that owner's suite. In this case here, we have the stairs. Notice the stair framed very nicely, you know, in the living room opening. You know, one of the things about New England too is it's not only about what you see when you walk into the room, it's when I'm in the room and I look out, what is it that I see? And I'm not talking necessarily about the windows. You know, this is a pretty common occurrence that, you know, you'll frame the stairway in the opening from the office there. Notice, like I said, downstairs we have that much taller 8-inch baseboard with the cap. And then we did, you know, pretty standard New England. If it's all white trim, we did oak treads. and then we did a little stair runner that went up. Notice the runner has a nice hem so that we didn't pull it right to the edge. It actually, you see a little bit of the floor, so it truly is a runner. And that's, again, that New Englandness of not just filling that up with carpet. And then, of course, if we blow this up a little, right, we have a really simple handrail. And in this case here, I chose to do an over the post rather than have, you know, something happen there. I wanted just a very nice, clean, sleek look. It matches all of our trim in the house there, to just have it nice and simple. Over the post, real simple newel post. And then our balusters, they actually have a little square base here. And then you can see as they go up, they actually taper and they get thinner. You know, again, another little New Englandness added to the stairway there that, you know, again, you know, sitting in your office and you take a gander over at that, it's a pretty nice scene to look at, right? Inside the office, we redid, like I said, we redid the fireplace there. So we have a nice, simple panel system. And Jeff Model, who built the whole mantle for us off-site, brought it and we just put it on as one piece. So all of this was made in the shop. You know, this molding here matches the crown molding. The OG in here matches the one on the doors. So there's a really nice cohesiveness to what we did in this mantelpiece versus what you see as you go around the house, that you're not coming up to this mantle and it looks like it was made by, you know, Jimmy the woodworker in Oklahoma, and then the rest of this house was built by, you know, Tommy from New England. But it actually looks like Tommy did everything in this house. You know, we finished it with some black granite. You can see here. The nice thing about this is we made that a flush condition. So our hearth comes out, and then we have our pieces here with some very tight joints. So, you know, I think the white against the black there is a just a really stunning approach to it, and not having the, you know, all the mechanized opening and stuff, by just having the metal grate here. They burn some fires occasionally, but not a whole lot. But, you know, the little prominent pieces on the end, and then how that recesses back, and then again, you know, we have those pillars there. It also sets it up really nice, right? Christmas time, and you know, you don't think people think about it, but they do, right? People want to have a place where they can nostalgically hang their stockings for Santa Claus, right? So we laugh, we may think it's a joke, but it is a real thing. I mean, we're doing a house now where they don't even care if the fireplace works. They're like, we put electric, whatever, we want a mantle. We want to be able to hang our stockings in the wintertime for Christmas. And we just like the look. There's a sense of New England when you walk into a room and you see this kind of arrangement, wood burning fireplace inside the house. Right, the dining room, you know, you can see there's the stairs, so literally the office, if you walk out of the office down the hall, then you come into the dining room here, if you remember from the floor plan. Now, a couple things about these. Kept them really, really simple. Flush condition, OG. This is probably on the order of about 32 inches. Notice our plinth block, and it matches our plinth blocks everywhere else. Right? We have a little toe kick here. Believe it or not, toe kicks, if you put a furniture base on, it's really kind of uncomfortable to stand at that cabinetry and do things. Like that couple inches to get that much closer your feet so you're not leaning forward but standing up, it makes a difference. So anyways, above we did glass doors, and notice some of these are different colors, and we're going to talk about that on the next slide. You know, up above our crown molding traced around, it does get a little tight in here, but you know what? Here's the thing, when I see that, and especially in homes in New England, out west, if I'm doing a house in Texas, and yeah, it's, you know, 6,000 square foot house on 50 acres, then maybe you have the room to sprawl. But here in New England, there's a lot of, you go through the houses, there's all of these little niches and irregularities where, you know, New England, as kind of simple and clean as this house looks, there's a number of these little irregularities, which I would just sign off and say, you know, that's what happens in New England. That's what it looks like. You know, you go upstairs and there's a little nook or whatever. So when that crown molding goes in and it's tight in there, yeah, that's just what happens in New England. That happens sometimes, right? So on the other side, we have this. Now remember, on the back side of this is that office. So that fireplace is right here. And then there's another twin cabinet here. But what I wanted to show you here was we took out the windows. And if you remember, when I was talking about the existing front elevation, I said, hey, there's some panes of glass in here. There are different colors. It was really weird. I don't quite know the story of, you know, is that how they did it? Did they just get glass? Was it a replacement? I don't know. But the woman from the Historic Commission said, as far as they can tell, and from older photos, then that stuff existed. And so one of the things we did when we demoed the house, the builder actually went through and took, you know, I don't know, 4 or 5 sashes out from the original house and set them aside. And the reason for that was we really wanted the glass. And so our cabinet maker, Jeff, then took those sashes, took the glass out, recut it, and then repurposed it. So when you see this colored glass here, those are original panes from the original existing windows here. Now, these are all new windows, new trim, new Marvin, simulated divided lights, 5/8 inch mutton, the whole 9 yards. But we took the original glass from the original windows and repurposed it in those cabinets. So, you know, it's one of those things where the homeowners know, I know, Jeff knows, Mike, the builder, knows. But beyond that, pretty much nobody knows. And in 30 years from now, that story is going to be lost. And people are going to look at it and go, huh, this is really interesting. Why is there purple glass and this green and yellow glass in these dining room cabinets? And why is it so somewhat sporadic there? No real sense of organized, organizational nature to that window. Why is that? And there's going to be people left to guess, like we guess about things when we walk through the original house and say, when they put this together, I wonder what that mason was thinking or what that carpenter was thinking when they did this. There you have it. So we're going to leave them with that little tidbit. So anyways, that's our interior trim chat. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We will be wrapping this up really soon. So anyways, like I always say, you know, very interesting project. Great guy to work with. The builder, everybody. This was just, you know, 16 months of nothing but an extremely positive experience. If I could do a project like that year after year after year, I'd say I have one hell of a career. Very fortunate to work with the people I do and team up with the people that I team up with. So it's a privilege, actually, to work with clients like this one and professionals like Jeff and Mike. So I'm blessed, certainly. So with that, until next time, I'm Steve Baczek Architect. Long live our buildings.